Hey everyone, this is Patrick Gaffney from the Boys in the Back group. Yesterday our group was able to get together, unfortunately not during class time, but in the library we were able to. And we had a great discussion over Chapter 7, this week's chapter. And with that, I'd like to start you off with a quote from this chapter, which was, "Deafness has left me acutely aware of both the duplicity that language is capable of and the many expressions the body cannot hide." And that quote is from Terry Galloway. Our group talked about this quote and decided on this one and said, "It truly is amazing the capabilities that language has, and this chapter really tries to show that as using an example of someone that has to use language in different ways, such as being deaf or not being able to move, talking about body language." The chapter, the main points of the chapter was the embodied knowledge and nonverbal communication, which was the name of the chapter, and then it went more in-depthly into how the body is a site of knowing, and it describes how the body is a means of learning, as well as different types of nonverbal learning and different types of nonverbal communication. And lastly, applying all these concepts to everyday life, which was actually very useful. Our group focused on two main takeaways. They might have not been the main goal of the chapter, but they are what we found most relatable to our group members. The first one would be body etymology. What is that? How we come to know and learn within our flesh, which is basically saying how we use our bodies to communicate and talk to one another. We found this interesting as our entire group is a part of a athletic program somewhere on campus, whether that's baseball or football or even track and field. And we found this interesting as our entire group is an athlete, and this part on page 149 talks about athletes specifically, as well as throughout the rest of the chapter. And then our second main part, that our takeaway, would be docile bodies. What is that? Bodies that remain disciplined enough to achieve what those in power want. So our main takeaways were pretty simple, but we found them very connecting to the main image of the chapter itself. And this was another topic talked about in the chapter that our group related to, because it talks about just how athletes train, and it also talks about how students have been trained to be able to sit down in class for long amounts of time. Just like we do every day, we go to different classes, we sit there, and we are able to do that because we have been training our entire lives, whether that's through preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, and now all the way we're up to here. It seems to be pretty easy to do so. So yesterday in our discussion, we went over the course of our group, and like what our plan was of attack with the a little bit different of assignment setup this week. We also discussed what stood out to us the most in this chapter in our discussion yesterday. And to remind you that those are the concepts of body etymology and docile bodies. We found these very important as they connected to the main purpose of this chapter, as well as relating to our groups the most, which I thought was really important, and because being able to relate to the text is pretty much how you embody what it's trying to say, I would say. And then a couple other takeaways from our discussion yesterday. Overall, yesterday's discussion went well as we continue to switch the roles for this week's work, getting everyone a chance to get a feel for each of them. This point in the group work, I think everyone has rotated through each of the different positions. And that has been very interesting because you can see how many different people attack it. And then lastly, we were intrigued by this chapter a lot, actually, and all our group members are very interested about it. And thank you.